Good morning, you guys. Gotta wipe the morning dew off my seat because I want to take you and show you something. It is so beautiful out here early in the morning, but also pretty wet. So early every morning, the fog completely covers our property, and I usually do this with a cup of coffee, but not usually a cup of coffee in the camera, so hopefully I don't spill this. Oh look, that'll do. You coming, baby? Now, at my old farm, I had a fierce love for golden hour. In the evening, I would rearrange my entire day to be outside that 30 or 40 minutes before the sun really got low, and it was just, the whole world was just so golden. And it's funny, but at this farm, I actually am extremely wooed by the early morning because we have these ponds and it just sets this really thick fog over the farm every single morning, and the sun comes up over these trees. It's just popped over the trees. It's happening later now, obviously, than it was a few months ago, because the mornings are getting darker until the time change. But when we first moved into the house, you had to get out here pretty early to see the farm before the sun came over it. And it is so romantic and so dreamy. It's my favorite coffee place. Now my silage tarps are doing their job. They've been down for, I guess, about a week and a half now. And I've been steadily coming out here and peeking underneath them. And I'm very glad with what I'm seeing right now, which is a lot of sprouting. Did y'all see that little froggy go under there? A lot of sprouting. And the grass under there that is sprouting is looking very pale, which is what I want to see, because as that grass sprouts and cannot get sunlight, it's gonna die back. They said this would take, like a lot of the things I read said this would take 3 weeks in the heat of the summer, but the weather kind of broke a little bit around the time that I laid these down. And so it's probably gonna take more than 3 weeks to get these truly ready to be planted in, and that's okay. I do have plants that are gonna need to come out here, but they'll be okay for a couple more weeks. Hey, little darlings. Good morning, beautiful girls. Good morning. Hello. Hey, sweeties. Don't. Oh, you better quit. Sweetheart will spit on anybody who comes up in her bubble. A couple of rogue chickens. Hey, ladies. So I've got a couple of rogue chickens out here running around. They have been sleeping in the barn and just free ranging out here in the field with Gabriel watching over them, and a couple of them have gotten through the fence. They are going to be in the chickshaw. When we moved the chickshaw, we had to take the handle off of it, and we ended up needing to buy some new hardware and stuff. So we had it sitting in this field, but we couldn't move it easily. And we finally just got it put back together, the handle, and Jeremiah had to build a new ramp because somehow that got left in Arkansas. And they are now going to be in the electric fence, and we are going to be moving the chickens out here, getting these garden spots ready. These silage tarps that I just showed you, we have 2 of them. That's a 2,000 square foot planting space. That silage tarp covers 2,000 square feet. That's huge. Most of the houses I've lived in could fit in this space of that silage tarp. And so I'm not planning on planting both of those spaces for fall stuff. I'm gonna grow a good deal of like cabbages, some root vegetables like rutabagas. I may put some carrots out here, but those would probably do better in the raised beds up by the house because they do better with looser soil. And then I'm gonna be planting onions and garlic out here over the winter. But I could do all of that in one of those 2,000 square foot spaces and do a lot of it. So the other one, when we pull it up, I'm probably gonna go ahead and put the chickens over it, and we're gonna really focus, we'll move the silage tarps to a new place, and primarily our focus in the garden belt is going to be preparing it for spring. And we did the small garden up by the house, which we did like raised beds and adding in soil and all of that, which, by the way, you're going to be seeing videos. The next 2 videos are us putting that together and planting it. It's actually done, and I'm putting this one up first for editing time constraints. But this, I mean, this isn't costing a lot to just amend the soil with what we have and putting the time into it. You ready to ride, trusty sidekick? Good morning, piggies. Good morning. I don't have your breakfast yet. We probably won't get to it until next year, but replacing this dock is pretty high on the priority list. As you can see, there are parts kind of falling apart. Lots of acorns on it. I sit out here a lot of mornings and drink coffee too. One other thing that I'm doing now, and it's kind of exciting, you can see my sweatshirt, my Oregon State Beavers sweatshirt. I did a good bit of research and looked into several different programs, but ended up settling on the online program with Oregon State. And I am getting ready to start a permaculture design certification course. So we've shared our kind of long-term goals, and we're going to be sharing more of that here very soon, about how one day we would really like to have a learning center. Now, a lot of people have asked, and there's been some confusion about this, and you know, some people obviously know, but some people have missed it. That's not going to be here. This is our homestead. This is going to be just our home. This is not going to become a public place. We're raising kids, and I feel like it is important for us to have a private home place that's not open to the public. Over the course of the next 5 years, we're really hoping to have another location and essentially build what will be a regenerative farm that will have internships and learning opportunities and all of that. And one of the things that is really important to me is to be able to give a place there for people from all walks of life and all backgrounds, with all kinds of knowledge about growing, to have a place to come and teach. I feel really fortunate to have this platform and being able to teach what little piece I have, but it's certainly not everything. I certainly have so much that I don't know, and I think it would just be really cool to have that. And I don't even know exactly what that looks like yet. Sometimes dreaming means having an idea for something without the exact practical application or format of how that's going to play out, and that's okay. Sometimes you have to be brave enough to have a dream that you don't know how it's going to work. But I will tell you that 4 years into doing YouTube, this little dream we have is a heck of a lot more reasonable and likely and obtainable than it was 4 years ago when we had it then, you know, before we had this. So for me, how I handle like a big dream, like when I have something like, oh, I want to have a learning center, and then I think, well, there's so much that I don't know, and whereas I might not be in the position right now to go buy that property and begin building that farm and begin making all of that happen, what I can do is learn. Again, it's always that mentality of turning your waiting room into a classroom. When you have a dream or a promise in your life that you really choose, I believe that this is possible, I believe that can happen, I have the faith that this is a plan for my life. What you can do with that in the meantime is kind of just like walk out that belief. And so for me, signing up for this certification for permaculture design, one, I mean, we're building this farm from scratch. I need all the help I can get. I definitely need to learn things. I've actually talked to a couple of designers, and I'm wanting to learn for myself what works and why, but I also want to be able to lean into some other people and get different opinions. For me, this was just a step in the direction of that dream that I don't know exactly how it's going to work out yet. And I did read a lot of different programs. There were a lot of different great programs. The reason I chose the one that I chose at Oregon State was that they had like 2 levels of this class, and it runs with an actual teacher. So ironically, I felt like there were multiple like self-guided courses, and I liked those, but I am busy and I am having to prioritize this and fit this in, and I felt like having kind of like a start date and a stop date was something that would really benefit me. And they also kind of had an extension of this class that gave you like tools for applying the certification to business. Now, I don't know exactly where it fits in or how, but I've kind of for a while now had this idea in the back of my mind for the last handful of years that at some point I would like to be able to do consultation and help people plan out their farms. And so as I'm getting this certification, it's with the hope to someday be able to teach permaculture and perhaps even teach certification where people can come to us to get this certification that I'm getting, but also to apply this in helping people form their own farms. It's crazy how that sun comes up over the trees and just within such a short period of time the fog completely dissipates. Bear, you can come up. Get up. You filthy animal. And it usually works out that about the time the fog is gone, so is the coffee. You want to go show everybody our score? Uh-oh, Bear. About to lose your spot. Want to go for a ride?
Yeah, you gonna chauffeur me?
Yeah.
You didn't clean my side of the windshield.
You weren't here. Bear didn't mind.
This makes me nervous.
You don't trust me?
Alright, let's go.
Alright, we're gonna go next door to our neighbor, Papa T and Mimi Lisa's house. When you've got the kind of neighbors that you already have a good path cut in between your houses, you know that it's going well. Right, sweet Maya?
There's 2 paths.
Yeah, 2 paths cut. We joke now that we thought we were gonna make this move without factoring in Papa T and Lisa. Because we had no idea, like we didn't know them. When we bought this property, we didn't know we were going to have these amazing neighbors. And when we moved here, they let us hook our camper up here on the property. We had not factored in how long those hookups were going to take. And we were thinking we were going to be able to stay on our property while we got everything set up, and that would have not been the case. But they were so hospitable, and they've just been amazing. Just fast family type relationships. Man, it's kind of that thing when you're dreaming and praying over something and believing, you know, for a big dream or a big promise, like I was talking about what we are doing with our learning center. This was the last step of that for us. Step out and you're going in the direction of that thing, and factors that you hadn't even considered that are massive helpers along the way kind of come in. And after a while of that, it's like, wow, like this really can work out, and I don't have to have it all figured out. I don't have to have all of the pieces in my hand. Because it's gonna be okay.
Yep.
So they live up next to us here, and Maya came over here yesterday and Papa T let him put these in his shop. I was talking to my dad the other day, and oh, I have to stop for a second because I have not updated you guys on this. My dad will be here. He's coming to visit next weekend. My dad is cancer free. He just got his scans done last week, and man, I can't even say that. Really thankful. So thank you all for praying. So woo, let me come back around and rein it in. Okay. I was talking to my dad, and he was mentioning like the irises and people starting to send us iris rhizomes and stuff. And he was like, I wonder how much your viewers are gonna feel with the way that they're engaging in this process. I wonder how much they're gonna feel so invested in your farm and just cheering it on and watching it grow. And that has so been the experience. This was one of those cases where the big Roots and Refuge community at large helped something happen. And I do talk a lot about community. Community matters, even if you don't have a big YouTube channel. I mean, investing in people's lives and giving them an opportunity to make that exchange and be connected, and giving your time and giving your energy into something. That's how communities are built. And we received a message from a local viewer named Patricia, who had come across some windows at a Habitat Restore, like a Habitat for Humanity store. If you've got one of those in your area and you're looking to build anything with reclaimed materials, it's a really great place to start. And we have shopped at the Restore in Arkansas multiple times, and she came across this load of how many? 34 windows. She contacted us. Maya ended up calling her, and she went and picked these up and bargained with them, and Maya went and bought the windows from her. What was it, like $100?
Yeah, she got them. They had listed them for $10 a window, and she paid $100 for them.
She paid $100 for all of them. So she did like a massive negotiation, and we were able to get all of these windows for $100. and they are perfect. And this is what we're gonna use to build our reclaimed window glass greenhouse for seed starting. So they're wood framed, nice thick glass, and they're all uniform, which is...
Yeah, they're all the same size, like 31 inches by 31 inches.
And that's pretty nice for the person who's building it, is that right?
Yeah, it makes things dimensional, so it's easy to figure out how many windows, wide, high, you know, 2 walls. I mean, it's just going to make it easier assembling it. This was way better than the windows I used in the first one.
Which you had to do a lot of puzzle piecing with that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, here's our...
And they're already white.
And they're already white, that is true. So I'm pretty excited about this. So I'm actually getting ready to go out of town for a couple of days. I miss my sweet Maya. Where I'm going on a visit and a bit of a work retreat. Hopefully get a pretty good chunk of my book knocked out. A lot of times that's what's required for me when it comes to something like that. That requires like getting kind of immersed in a creative process. I have to go where my kids aren't and where my routine of like normal work isn't. Because it's really hard for me to like dive into writing and stuff like that when I have gardens and things like that that I could be working on instead. So I'm getting ready to go out of town. I have a couple videos that are going to come up for you guys in the meantime. Maya's actually going to be making a video on a project he's working on in the next few days for the pigs. And I think the overall theme of this video is thank you. I know I'm talking about just kind of the different processes and what we're sharing, but in case you didn't know this already, you make our lives so much better. Thank you guys for hanging out with us this morning. God bless you. Until next time.